This will be video number 17 in the odds and ends hit and miss series. Today I'm going to show you a little bit about making fillets, because often you have to have a good fillet. This isn't a good, you have a sharp line like that and you want to make it look like a casting. So I fill this part. Now I'm using powder coating, and powder coating doesn't work with everything I used to use. What I used to use was PC7. This is what I use, is PC7, and that works good with paint. Comes in a couple of like this thing the size of a film container, and you mix the two parts together. And the great thing about this is if you wet your finger with water, you can slick it down and make a nice fillet. And that's the only thing I've found that you can use water with, and it works good. I'll mix up a little and show you how it works. So I'm going to try to take equal parts of this out and put it on a piece of glass. Making it equal this way is pretty tough, but I'd say that's about equal. So we'll mix those up. Now that's pretty well mixed. As soon as the color is really good, you don't see any black or white, I think that's pretty good. What I'm going to do is just put this on and pretend this is the two sides of the engine and the base. We'll put on a little fillet here. I'm just doing this with a popsicle stick at first. I want to show you how this works with water. And now, just take a little bit of water on this thing. And it slicks right down. Can you see that in the light here?
Yes.
And I can make a perfect fillet right across there. The best thing to use is probably a marble or a ball bearing. Let's see, it's not as wet as it was, so I'm just going to wet that again. This, I had a cup to dip it in, that's the best way. As you can see, you can slick that right down. Now, if I take it over here, see, I can take the putty knife and I can just scoop it away from the edges. Thusly. And then do the same on the other edge. Yeah, you can sand it and do anything to it once it's hardened. So now I can also take my finger, but you should have a glove on with this stuff. It's epoxy. That's my preferred method, is my finger. And you can see that's a nice smooth radius in there. You let that cure and it paints really good, and you can sand it and get it really smooth. But you don't want to leave big lumps along here that you have to take off afterwards. Get them off while it's soft. So that's really good for when you're doing painting and so forth. PC7 is my go-to epoxy of making and filling holes and doing fillets. Now this is going to be powder coated, so I can't use that PC7. And what I've come up with is this. It's called lab metal. Just to let you know, I found this on Amazon, but there are other places to buy it, and it's sometimes cheaper if you go somewhere else. But you can search for lab metal or metal tech, I think is the search. But this is the can, and like I said, you can find it on Amazon pretty easy. And then if you search it more on the web, some people are better than I am, but I know it could probably be found cheaper somewhere else. And it's very expensive, I think. This little can cost about, at the time I bought it, was like $35. And the thinner was also $35 or $40. The last can I had, I think I paid $40 for it. But it actually goes a long way, and I'll show you why. A lot of cans of stuff that you open up and you put it on the shelf and you take it down and it's got a crust on it. Well, this stuff will do that, but you can get it right back in by stirring it. It doesn't matter how bad it is hardened or anything, you can just always bring it back. As you can see, this is quite old. I've had this a couple of years now, and you see this crusted around the edges? I'll just take a screwdriver and I'll scrape that off. And as you can see, it's dried. Go right around that edge, scrape that off and put it right in there. And any that's hardened up on the bench or anything, or on the putty knife or anything else, that's a piece. So I made up this little mixer. It's just a piece of rod stock with a piece of flat bar silver brazed on there and a little twist to it. And you can see this has hardened material on it, but that doesn't matter because that will blend back in with this. Show you how good it will blend. You got to put a little thinner in it. Doesn't take much. We'll mix that in. See how it works. Another thing is this thinner doesn't seem to eat plastic at all. I haven't found any plastic that would eat up, so you can use plastic dishes and plastic syringes. And take a few minutes and mix this stuff up. You can see it's creamy already because I did a little mixing with it yesterday, getting ready for the video. But, no matter how hard that stuff is, it can be absolutely dry. And you can put it back in there with a little thinner and stir it for a while, and it'll come right back. So don't throw any of it away, just get it hardened up. I left the cover off it one night, and it was off for like 10 hours. When I came back, there was a big crust on it. And I just put it in here with a little thinner and blended it right back in. Now, I've built 2 engines, and that's all I've used for filleting and filling. So this stuff will probably last a while. Now you can see you've got a lot on the spindle. I'm just going to scrape that off with a stick. Put it back in. Well, actually there's not much on there. I'm going to leave it alone. Just let it dry and I can scrape it off dry afterwards. So now I want to create a fillet in there, and it takes about 3 times to get it done. You have to put it in layers. It's very difficult to do it in one shot. I'm just putting that in there with a popsicle stick. Putting a lot on there, but most of it I'm going to scrape off and put back in the can. Just want to get down to the end here. I'm just going to make one pass down the end, like that. And then, as you can see, if you dip this into the thinner, it'll allow it to slide right along there and make a nice fillet. If you do it dry, it doesn't work. You got to put lots of thinner on it. I'm just filling in some spots that were missed. They're a little bit low. So you have to put plenty of thinner on it. You can see what a nice fillet it does when you have it.
Very nice.
Okay, that should do it. Let me put a little bit more on here while I got it out here. That should be good. What I'm going to do is just pull the edges off of here. Try not to waste a lot. And put that little bit back in the can. You see, when I put that stuff back in there, it's pretty dry. And that's only been a few minutes. That's the third coat all the way around. This side is good. Very happy with that. And this side is good, so I just have to sand those and I'll be finished with this and I can powder coat it. Okay. As you can see, this fillet looks really nice and it makes it look more like a casting. And once I finish this all off smooth, I can powder coat it. But when you powder coat and you have two intersecting pieces like that, you have what they call the Faraday effect, and the powder coating won't go right into the very corner and it'll leave a line right there. But if you do the fillet, then you get away with that. It takes that Faraday effect away and you get just a nice curve. It's sort of necessary to get the powder coating down in there. So down inside of here, when I powder coat this, it won't be as thick, especially in the corners. It's pretty difficult to do. But I did find if you heat this up and spray the powder coating in, it'll stick better in the corners. So I might do that before, just get it up to a couple of 100 degrees and just blow the powder coating in there. But the electrical charge will cause what they call the Faraday effect, and it keeps it away from that corner. I'm not sure how that works, but this is dry. I put that on there last night, and that's the first coat. It's pretty sloppy job, but what I use is the finest Dremel drum sander I can find, a small one, and it's very fine, but I only push it on halfway. It leaves it a little bit flexible on the end. That way I can put it right down in there and drag it right across, and it'll take out all the rough parts, and then I smooth the edges, and then I put the second coat on. I'll show you the grinding. So you see that's the first coat, and you can see this line across here that is drawn with the sander hitting it. So you know that you've got a radius down in there, and look in the middle, you'll see that it's cleaned it up pretty nicely. And what's left on the outside, I'm going to scrape off. See if I can do that. Sometimes I can sand it off by doing this. Sanding that down, getting rid of it. Okay, now I would put the second coat on top of that and do the same thing again. And it usually takes about 3 coats to get a good job. Now this is what I just put on there. And you can see that's drying pretty fast. But you want to wait really overnight till it gets about, good and hard. Let me do this one. Now, as soon as you can see that line across there, you stop. You don't want to put a big dig in there that'll show up. It only takes a couple of passes. Now that's 2 coats on there, and the next one will be the third. You can see that that's almost hitting. It's hitting all the way across here. That part is finished, but in here it's just a little bit shy. Now this one, you can see that's quite a lot of fill in there, and that's 3 coats. And this one here is just about finished. You can see that gray area. I got to put a tiny bit there, tiny bit here, and that part will be finished. I should be wearing a dust mask here, but I forgot. But, any little crevice like that, you can just put a little more on, wait, and sand it again. And you can see this end is getting close. That's finished. As you can see, that's probably good enough. Now that would probably be fine, because you know castings aren't perfect. So I don't have to get that at absolute perfect fillet. Just has to be somewhere near what a casting would look like. Now, you can see that there's some swirls from the sandpaper on here. Those have to come out, because if you don't, those will show. And you don't want it to see the swirls from the sander. This is special tape for high temperature, used in powder coating. I'm going to put that over all the orifices so that they don't want the paint, the powder coat into. If you cured it inside the cylinder, you might have a problem even honing it out. I don't know. I've never done it, but I don't think it would be a good idea. There's that one. Just cleaning it off a little bit to make sure that I didn't have any greasy fingerprints on it. Using a little, what is that? It's like 409 grease solvent. Wash my hands too, so I get all the grease out of my fingers. So we found a tiny leak here. It looks like it's solid, but and I tested this before. It must have had some flux in the hole or something. So I've got to fix that before I powder coat it. And I can actually see the hole, I think. The tiny little hole there. Like I said, it was probably full of powder coat of flux, but when I tested it, it didn't leak. Yep. Actually, it almost looks like there's two little holes there. I'm going to put a little tinner's acid down in that hole. And then I'm going to use rosin core solder to plug it, hopefully. If I can get it hot enough without ruining it. So we're going to give it another test here. Anything come out?
Top, yeah.
Yeah, that's no problem. So I've had my hands all over it again. I'll just have to take and wash this off again and dry it. If you have any grease on it, it'll change the color of the paint a little bit, but I'm a little more fussy than probably I have to be, but I've had it happen and I do everything to avoid it. See, I'm just holding this by the tape now, so I'm not touching it. I gotta touch it. Also, if you have any dust on it or anything, it shows up. I just saw a little piece of dust on it. Doesn't want to get up in that little crevice there. I don't think it's getting on there. That should do it. That'll take a while. It'll take probably 20 minutes to warm up, and then I gotta cook it for 10 minutes. So once it gets up to 400, set this for 400. This is still pretty hot, but as you can see, I didn't get enough powder coat on top of here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go right back in while it's still hot and spray a little more powder coat on there and cure it, and I think it will blend in. I've done this before and it worked pretty good. If it doesn't, then what I have to do is burn it all off and start over. But we're just going to give it a try. Go right on the top there. Hook up my ground. See if I can get that to go on there. I'm going to have to go all over this because it's got a light coat all over it. I think that this will be okay if I reheat it and redo it. Looks like I've got most of it. See what happens. Okay, that should be done. Looks pretty good. Stuck down a little bit, but let's get over here and see what it looks like. I think that came out pretty good. That's an overcoat on the original coat because I missed some of it up here. I think it looks pretty nice. Can I turn it, Jim, and see if we can get a good shot of the side of it? Can you get the light on? And I'd probably drop it on the floor here if I get stupid. How's that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that came out pretty nice. So what I'm going to do is I'll finish off the rest of the parts and I can start putting things together. And the next video will be on some of the assembly, and the governor is the last thing. We'll start making the governor parts. So thank you for watching. If you liked what you saw, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. That's very important. Thank you.